the energy that you emit is always what's going to then be drawn back into your reality. If you're wanting more from life, I want to share with you a few things that are 110% going to help you get it, because I understand that desire for more. And it's like, yes, certain things that you want, but it's just this like underlying sensation, desire for more than what most people are willing to settle for. And like, I look at it as like zoom out on this earth that we live on, this planet that we live in, and look at all of the freaking amazing epic shit that exists here that is available for our taking if you're willing to be resourceful enough. So I wanted to help you with getting more from life, and obviously this is very much in a work-based. And I share this from experience as, like I said, someone who for the last 4 years of my life, I have literally devoted my attention and my life and my actions to I want more. This is great. I'm grateful for it. And I want more. Owning that desire. And so there's a few things that I want to share with you. Before I do, I need to preface and say that this isn't about never being happy and satisfied and always I need the next thing and I need more and I need more and I need more, because that's against the whole point of my mission, of my message, of why we're here on this planet. So take it as I'm gonna help you get more whilst enjoying the journey, because that's the whole freaking point. Enjoying the journey. We don't want more if you have to suffer and not enjoy the journey. And so anytime that you're trying, you're in the pursuit of trying to create more for yourself, more abundance, more success, more pleasure, more happiness, more adventure, more insert, fill in the blank, come back to this question of am I enjoying the journey, the process of creating more? If not, something has to shift and pivot a little bit within myself, because otherwise you get to the finish line of more, whatever it might be, reaching a certain income, having better friends who are soul sister connections, moving somewhere, living somewhere else, living in a nicer house, enjoying nicer things. And it's it lasts for a minute and then it's the next thing and the next thing. And so that's not the point. So let's just go straight on into it. If you are wanting more from life, one of the most powerful questions I think you can ask yourself is, well, what is life asking for from me? Seeing as you're in a relationship with everything, and that includes life. And obviously that if you're wanting more, there's probably one or two specific things that you are wanting more of, like money, for example. You're wanting more money from life, within life. Okay, well, what is money asking for from you? How is it wanting you to show up more? Because you're essentially you're asking for life to show up for you. And I use those terms with purpose, with intention. You're asking life, money, work, the humans in your field to show up for you more. And it's a tango, right? It takes two to tango. It's a two-way street. And your external world is always a reflection of your internal in some way, shape or form, because your energy or vibration is what is ultimately always shaping and creating your reality. So instead of just going to the external of what do I have to do to make X happen? Question of okay, who do I need to be in order to experience that as my reality? And then practice embodying that version of you. For example, and let me break it down for you. Let me just give you a ton of specific examples. So let's just take money, because I've been rolling with that. Let's say that you're asking for more money from life. And this is something I share this specific example from my own reality over the last 6 or so months, and what I've been manifesting, and then the inner work and embodiment that I've been doing. So if you're wanting more from money, money might be looking for more communication. That's probably going to be a pretty predominant one. It wants you to show up and talk to it more, look at it more, pay more attention and be more mindful of your spendings, of your income, of, being respectful with your money. It wants you to show up and maybe circulate it with more intention, not just spending on big businesses who perhaps you don't really know their moral code, or maybe, it's like businesses that like Shein, for example. Let's just say like Shein doesn't have the moral code or the same level of like human connection and human impact as your local like boutique shop that sells clothes, right? Like it's completely different level of impact and consciousness and connection. So money might be asking for you to circulate it locally, to shop at your like farmers markets, to hire people if for some reason you have a business and you're hiring people, to hire people that to shop with conscious businesses that you can see have a mission that's bigger than just their bottom line. Having a weekly date with your money, showing up and looking at it, connecting with it, embodying the frequency and vibration of wealth and abundance and enoughness every single week. Like there's so many ways, and there's probably a million more that you can also come up with. And ultimately, like, this is such an intuitive thing too. When you're asking yourself this question, don't actually ask yourself, ask money, ask life, ask, even if it's like specific people, if you're looking for more love and connection in your life, go to the people that you're in relationship with, whether that is romantically, a partner or friends or your family, and share with them, okay, I'm wanting more from this relationship. I'm wanting more from you. And I would love to know what you're wanting from me as well, because this is a two-way street and I'm so aware of that. And I've had this conversation with Corey like a few times now, where I'm like, I want more from you. Like, I want you to show up more for me. And I so see that I am an equal part in that. So sometimes I'll come up with my own ideas and I'm like, I think that this would be me showing up more for you. How does that feel for you? Or sometimes I'll just ask, like, what do you need from me? How can I support you more? How can I show up more for you? How can I be in a better partner for you? And if you're talking to like an inanimate object like money, or like business, or just life, right? Sometimes we just want the bigger picture of wanting more. Then just pick up a journal. You can like pen to paper it, journal it, and just see what comes through you. Or sit in meditation and imagine that you're just like opening up your channel and asking your higher self, asking your intuition, and see what comes through. And those sorts of practices too are so much more powerful and easier when you are connecting on like a subconscious and somatic level, not just trying to like think about it with your conscious mind, because that's not where these answers live. It's in your intuition. It's in your higher self, your unconscious. And so that's why, sometimes getting in spaces and environments that really do support you to unlock that part of yourself is so life-changing and empowering. Like going to a women's circle, or coming to my retreat, or investing in my sisterhood membership, where we always do meditations and are always connecting with your intuition. And I have several meditations in there to do that as well, regardless of our calls. Like, like getting yourself amongst other people and invested in experiences and emotions that help you to better connect to your intuition and deepen that like spiritual connection, I suppose. It's like a channel is how I see it. So summing that up, questioning, okay, if I'm wanting more from life, what is life asking of me? And often this is like the standards that you hold of yourself. Being mindful of there's like an energy, I almost call it like an archetype, where sometimes you can like try and be manifesting more and wanting more, but you're doing so from this like bratty inner child or teenager sort of energy, where it's like, I want more. I'm not happy. This is shit. I need more, right? And like I especially connect with like, I'm gonna say like 12 or 13-year-old me. That bratty, I was the youngest, I am the youngest child. And I definitely was the most spoiled in that way. And I actually have had to do quite a lot of, I guess, reparenting and shifting with my bratty inner self, who got a lot of what she wanted and created an expectation of like, if I want it, then I get it, and I get it right the fuck now. So being mindful of that and, raising the standards that you have of yourself, because that is essential. We're talking about wanting more from life means raising the standards that you have within life. The standards that you hold for money, the standards that you hold for your relationships, the standards that you hold for your time, for your freedom. And so look at the standards that you have for how you treat yourself, for how you nourish and take care of your body, for the basic boundaries that you have with your time and your energy when it comes to other people, the boundaries that you have between your personal time and your work time, and your work life. And really focus on raising those standards and honoring them. Like, you can raise a standard mentally and decide, like, okay, a standard of mine is that I go to bed by 10 or 10:30 because I know that how my day goes depends on my night before and what time I've gone to bed and how much sleep I've had. So in order for me to show up more powerfully for life, I need to sleep well. And so that's just a standard. You don't stay up scrolling on TikTok for hours on end. You have a little bit of a scroll and then you get off and you do a meditation, right? Maybe that's a standard for yourself. Like, every morning I have some self-devotion time. Really looking at that, especially how you treat your body too, like your health, those standards. Like, it is a standard of mine that there is a certain level of healthy eating and movement that I will not go below, unless it's like a very rare ebb in life that's like a rarity. But all in all, my standards for how I treat my body is that I eat 80% healthy, nutritious foods, and I exercise at least 5 times a week. Not working out 5 times a week, but that's between walking and doing HIIT workouts and yoga and like all the different sorts, at least 5 times a week. And still, when I'm really on top of it, then 7 days a week with walking on the weekends. But like, really looking at that. And when you do that, it also might show you perhaps where you don't have any standards. I've worked with some clients before, asking them this question, and they're like, I don't even know if I have any standards for myself. And that's great awareness to see, to then be like, okay, that has to shift. In order for me to live the life that I know I'm here for, that I want to live, I need to have higher standards of myself. So once you know it, then the practice isn't embodying it, obviously, following through, knowing that you're gonna have moments where you're not perfect, and that's part of being human, babe. It's great, it's okay, it's wonderful. But it's just the general gist of how you treat yourself and how you show up and the things that you do and give your energy to. And it is the self-devotion standards that I would focus on personally. It is how you start your morning and how you spend your evening, what you give your energy to. What are your standards? Go and write that down. The next thing that I would focus on, if you're wanting more from life, is really just bringing it back to frequency. What I was saying before, ultimately, the energy that you emit is always what's going to then be drawn back into your reality. You are like a laser beam. The laser that you put out, that you shine on things, is what comes back to you. It's like a boomerang. What you throw out comes back. So get clear on the frequency of what you want. Like, you're wanting more. Yeah, more is quite broad. Like, get more specific on, okay, the next season of my life, wanting more looks like this. And get clear on that. And then ask yourself, like, what is the frequency of this? What is the energy underlying this, coded in this, dripping in this? And then focus on not so much what you're doing, but more importantly, who you're being. And focus on showing up in the frequency of her. Because like, the past, the present, and the future, nothing really exists. It's like it's all happening at the same time, right? Time is an illusion, it's a construct. The past, the present, the future are all happening at the same time because they're on different timelines. So there is a future version of you on a different timeline who is already living the reality that you want of having more. For example, more time, freedom, and yet more money. So who is she? What sort of identity does she hold? How does she spend her days? How does she dress herself? How does she speak to herself? When she looks in the mirror, how does she feel? How does she treat the woman that she sees? What sort of people does she give her energy and time to? Who does she hang around? And that's going to be a direct reflection of your standards for yourself, of the standards that you have for the humans in your world. So really starting to be super mindful of wherever you can, bringing her into your field here and showing up as her. A big part of that is 1, identity, and 2, embodiment. So identity work is quite deep in your unconscious. And sometimes this means going quite deep and looking at your past experiences and the imprints left in your unconscious mind from, incidences and experiences and conditioning that you've received about who you are and who you learned to be and what you learned is safe. Because if, for example, you know that you want more money, which most people do, right? And yet you have this imprint that more money means more responsibility and more stress, then you might block yourself from showing up as that wealthy woman because it doesn't actually feel safe to your unconscious. Or if you grew up, fairly low income, with a family with low income, then you might have created this identity of we don't have money, of I'm poor, of I'm a low class or middle class citizen. And you look at the rich people like, okay, well, they're rich people and I'm over here, which creates this separation of I'm not that. They're them and I'm me, disconnection, I'm not that. And so then you're not in the identity of being a wealthy woman. You're still in the identity that let's just say you're in a 6-year-old formed when you saw the cool, popular, wealthy kids on the playground and you're over here, not that. Just as an example. And so the identity work is something that I do in pretty well all of my containers, literally, because it is so pivotal and so core, so foundational for creating transformation. So Devoted to Your Dharma, which is my mastermind coming up, or you might be listening to and it's already in the process of happening, is a massive part of that is really embodying and creating this identity of being a woman who is, for one, 110% confident and backs herself and goes for the things. The identity of being embodied in your divine feminine, because if you learn and grow up to be quite masculine and stressy and chaotic and go-getter and busy in that sort of way, frantic, then you can find it hard to identify as being a divine feminine woman because it's like, well, that's not who I am. That's not who I learned to be. So identifying as a divine feminine being, identifying as successful, identifying as wealthy. So it's going to be quite a big part of that container of the mastermind is shifting on an identity level. And those sorts of shifts can happen. It can happen where, you put in work on your unconscious and within your body as well, because your body, your nervous system is a direct part of your unconscious. And your body stores these imprints from the past. And then from the chipping away, you'll find that then everything tends to shift and anchor in and just land at a certain point. And that's when you tend to quantum leap and really shift your reality. So if you're wanting to shift who you identify as by healing and releasing the labels and the layers that you've picked up along the way, that you are sick of, that you are done with, and you're ready to let go of, then Devoted to Your Dharma is definitely going to be an amazing metamorphosis and experience for you. So head to the link in the show notes to check that out. The next thing, which kind of links into what I was just saying, is bringing your body along for the ride. If you're trying to manifest more, but just doing so from your mind, then you're missing a really key piece, which is the role that your body plays, the role of the soma, of somatic healing. Because ultimately, you are a body, you're a mind, you're a soul, and you're a body. And yet, so many people who are manifesting and doing mindset work completely forget about the body and about your nervous system. Ultimately, in simple terms, what you gotta understand is that your nervous system has to feel safe in order to receive what you want. Otherwise, you simply will not. You will self-sabotage and it won't happen. Or you will get it and it will be overwhelming and you will drop it, you'll lose it, you'll self-sabotage. Or it will just sort of, life will take it from you because life knows that you can't handle it. You'll think you've had it and then you haven't. Let me just have a sip of tea while that settles for you. So what this is really called is your window of tolerance, or your window of capacity. So you'll find that this window of tolerance is like life experiences and things that you are okay to tolerate. You can handle it without being dysregulated. And this is where you tend to stay. So let me just give you some examples of just break this down so it's easier to understand. Let's say the window of tolerance is this much. And something good, inverted commas good, that is outside of that window of tolerance could be, let's just say it's receiving $10,000. That seems exciting and good, and you're like, oh my God, amazing, would love to receive $10,000. But the reality is that much money is overwhelming because you've never experienced it. It's so out of the normal, it's so unfamiliar. And this is what happens a lot of the time when people win the lotto. Let's just say it's like $20 million, right? Lottery. Most people that win the lottery, statistically speaking, end up with less money than when they started because they've spent it all. Because it is so outside the realms of their window of tolerance that they don't know what the heck to do with it. And so it's like, overwhelm, unsafe, get rid of it. Spend it all. Okay? You spend it all. Because most people don't know how to hold it and live it as that, right? And live that as their reality. And so there's so many ways that can happen. Let's say that you're dating. You're trying to find the one. And previously your history is dating guys who are red flag central in hindsight, who are egotistical maybe, who aren't loving and caring as much as you want. And yet you meet a guy and he's so nice. He's such a nice guy. He's so kind and so loving and so sweet. And immediately it's like, boring, next. Because that level of safety is actually unsafe because you're so used to the red flags, you're so used to the hot and cold, lack of communication, maybe being overly emphasized about your body and feeling objectified. Like if that's your normal, which I'm not saying that it should be, like fuck no, but if it is, sometimes that is life. And you're on this journey, I'm hoping, of healing that and raising your standards, and I see you in that, and I've done that myself, and it's so possible. But if that is still normal to your nervous system, that's in the window of tolerance. And so you want the better thing, you want more, and yet it's actually unsafe. And what is unsafe is deemed as a threat. So this is why expanding your window of tolerance is so important and so powerful, is because it means that you can actually handle more without self-sabotaging or getting really overwhelmed. And I've experienced this many times myself. Sometimes I still will, and it's like, it's not a bad thing. It's just like, it's just feedback. It's just information. Where something really cool happens, something amazing will happen, and you get like so excited. It's like, right? Just like, oh my God, it's like, And in that's great. It's amazing to get excited, but it's also really, really, really amazing and helpful to take that and like bring it down and use that to like expand your capacity by being like, it's safe for things to be this good. Doing breath work whilst you're receiving whatever amazing thing has just happened. Normalizing it is basically the point. And so that can also happen on the other end of the scale of like inverted commas bad things. And I am only saying that because that is what our minds and our egos can create, that story of things are good or bad. So let's just say that on the other end, being in debt is is like, you just can't handle that. You're used to having a certain amount of money, a certain level of debt or not debt, and if you go into more than that, or if you have less money, it just freaks the heck out of your nervous system. It's like code red, danger. And so what that can do is spiral you, where it becomes this big emotional reaction, spiraling, victimhood, depression, anxiety. And when you're in that state emotionally and physically, somatically, that can be really disempowering and unhelpful, because you're not then resourceful. You're not doing things and showing up in a way that is as beneficial and resourceful as if you were in a regulated state. And the thing about regulating your nervous system and having a regulated nervous system is that it's not about being calm all the time. It's about being able to be flexible. It is about your ability to handle the waves of life. Because if you're always calm, that's actually not helpful, because some things are a threat. Let's just take money. If you don't have enough money to pay your bills, and if you're sitting there calm about it, then you're probably going to stay calm and do nothing. And all of a sudden you've lost your house, so you've been evicted or whatever the heck, right? Like, things can happen that aren't going to be helpful. You need to have that response of like, okay, get my shit together, go and do something about this. So it's not about just being calm. It is about being able to be flexible and come back to neutral. Closing that, it's like a loop of, let's just say something happens that's a threat, whether it is a threat or it's just a perceived threat, and it spikes the fear response, the stress response. It's about being able to come back and close that loop instead of living in the heightened state of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Yeah, coming back. So that is not an overnight thing. And I say that I really want to emphasize that. Like, I've been working on this, expanding my capacity for intentionally at least a year, unintentionally unaware of what I was doing way longer. And this is a huge part of all of the containers that I hold, and the immersions and the experiences, because it's so life-changing in terms of like what you get to manifest and receive, but honestly, more importantly, like how you feel consistently in your life, your ability to handle and be resilient, because life doesn't always go your way. Things do happen that are challenging and initiating and sometimes stressful. So it's about really setting yourself up to be able to handle that as best as you can, and normalize living a really freaking good life where things that you used to only dream about are your reality, and you feel safe, and you know that it's not just going to up and leave you one day. Because if it doesn't feel safe and normalized to your system, like having more money, having more success in work or in your business, then it can create this feeling, this sensation of like, okay, well, something good has happened. When's the bad thing gonna happen? And that is a conditioned response for so many people. I swear, like 90% of the clients that I've worked with have voiced this at some point with me. And one thing that I actually love to say as well is, think about the conditioning that you have received from a very young age through movies. Think about the plot line, the storyline of a movie. It literally goes, okay, I mean, there's other bits that happens, but like, good thing happens, there's a peak, and then something bad always happens. There has to be something bad happening in a movie, or no one is going to watch it, because it doesn't have the excitement and the action and the plot, right? And you watch that, and you then unconsciously normalize that to be how life goes. Like, okay, good thing happened, bad thing happened, happy ending. And then what can happen with the happy ending bit is then when you don't get your happy ending, because life isn't perfect and you don't always have happy endings, you then fall deeper into that spiral of like, oh, life's against me and it's too hard, I never get what I want and I'm a victim, whether that's consciously or just unconsciously. So that role of movies is actually really important to look at and decondition from. And the next thing that I want you to think about is taking what you want off of the pedestal and normalizing it. Because you'll find that you will struggle to receive it and hold it and keep it when it's on this pedestal of like amazingness. Like, oh my God, it would be so, I just can't even imagine things being that good. I can't even imagine having that much money, having that much freedom, having that level of connection and friendship, or having that good of a partner. Can't even imagine it. That is really repelling for what you want. So start to normalize it. And you can do this through like simply a 2-minute or a 4-minute practice, frequency practice, where you sit and imagine that it's already yours. Because what that does is it normalizes it to your unconscious, because your brain literally doesn't know the difference between what is real and what you imagine. So if you start to imagine it, it thinks it's real and it starts to become more familiar with it and more normal with it. And with repetition, then it suddenly feels normalized and it's safe. And realize that what is unfamiliar to your unconscious mind is automatically deemed as unsafe. So the more that you familiarize yourself with what you desire, with the life that you want to live, the more safe that it's going to feel to actually live that reality. And doing this in advance whilst you're manifesting, whilst you're taking action, is really powerful, because it means that you don't have so much of a like holy fuck response when you get it. Like, for example, just to share a story with you, I spent, I'm not even sure how long, I'm going to say at least a year, actively working on normalizing the sort of love that I wanted within a relationship romantically. And my experience before doing so was not great. Let's just say that. Like, I did not have any good experience with men with divine masculinity. I didn't even know divine masculinity. I didn't know what it was like to be seen for anything more than my body, truthfully. That was 100% where my worth was. Like, I did not know how to be worshipped. And so I started actively connecting with that, observing and getting myself around other people who were living that reality, and that was their normal, because that rubs off on you, and just starting to normalize it, starting to connect with it. And I love the simple mantra of like, of course. When something good happens, of course. It's like, thank you, and of course it did. Like, yeah, that's just how I live. That's just who I am. And sometimes that means stretching. Sometimes that means being a little bit like delusional almost. But the more that you do that, the more that it becomes normalized and it works. And one day you're looking back like, oh my God, this shit works. And I say that from experience. And gratitude, my love. Like, don't forget that the most powerful frequency is gratitude when it comes to living a beautiful life and attracting all that you desire. Instead of just focusing on getting more, focus on appreciating all that you already have. Whatever you appreciate will appreciate in value. Whatever you don't appreciate will depreciate in value. Pretty simple law of the universe. Start to notice all of the little ways that you receive, all the little things that you can appreciate and be grateful for. And one of the things that I love to do as well when manifesting is, like I said to you before, get clear on the frequency of what you want. Let's just say it's freedom. And start to notice and appreciate all of the ways that you experience freedom right now. And I mean like the smallest of ways. Like if you get to wake up with plenty of time before you start work, freedom. That's freedom to spend your morning doing what you want to do. If you have the freedom, every time that you receive money, that gives you freedom of something, right? If you have the freedom to go and choose what you want to eat, to buy nice food that is nourishing and fulfilling, not just cheap food that is the bottom of what you can do, appreciate that freedom. If you have the freedom to work from home and choose your environment, then appreciate that freedom. if you have the freedom to get your nails done or go and get a massage, appreciate the freedom of money and of choice to be able to do so. If you are on holidays, appreciate that. Like all of the little ways. If you are driving the car with the window down and the wind is blowing in your hair and it just feels so good and you're singing, like appreciate the freedom of that. All of the little ways, start to soak that up and be really mindful of what you're focusing on, because your focus, whatever you send your focus to, is what you create and expand more of. So if you focus on the lack of what you want, you're just going to expand the lack of what you want. And this is a really big thing that a lot of people don't get, is that you're trying to manifest, but you're accidentally focusing on the lack of what you're trying to manifest. So start to focus on already having it in all the little ways, and you'll find that it expands naturally. And the last thing that I would say about creating more for yourself is connecting deeper with the part of you that knows. And when I say that, I mean your higher self, the universe, source, God, your spiritual connection. Because the more that you deepen that, the more that you'll be able to hear and honor the nudges of where life is guiding you and of what you're here for. Because when you say yes to your soul's purpose, to your unique dharma, life blesses you when you are devoted to it. And not just from a point of, okay, if I do this, then I'll get what I want. But like, no, being seriously devoted and knowing that that devotion means that you're still going to have ebbs and flows. You're not always just going to get what you want handed to you on a silver platter, but you are going to experience a more abundant, freeing, fulfilling, fun life than what most people are okay with settling for if you don't. So what is your dharma? Where is your soul guiding you? What sort of life are you here for on a soul level? What do you desire more of? And how can you trust in that inner wisdom, in that inner guidance, even if it feels way too big and scary and you're not sure if you can do that and you've never done it before? It's like, even if you're the first one in the family to think about living a life like that, can you trust it? Because if you are willing to cultivate that trust and that connection, life will support you in ways that you could have never even imagined. So deepen your spiritual connection, whatever way that looks like for you. Meditate more, journal more, and like channel and ask the universe, like, what message do you have for me? Go to a retreat. Yoga is a really great spiritual connection, spiritual practice. Honestly, like, life is a spiritual practice. There are rituals and ways in which you can connect deeper to your spirituality, but life is a spiritual experience. You can find your spiritual connection when you're having an argument with someone. Yeah, and see them as a mirror for you and realize that they're just showing you what needs to be looked at or healed or addressed or let go of within yourself. Like, there are so many ways. You can go and lie outside in the grass and look up at the sky and feel spiritually connected. So just explore it. Let it be an exploration. Let it be an adventure of its own. And if you are wanting more from life and you're serious about enjoying the journey of creating that and becoming the woman, the version of you that has that reality, then I definitely want to invite you to join myself and the other women inside Devoted to Your Dharma, my 10-week mastermind where the whole focus is on creating and birthing this reality for yourself, where you are living and honoring and devoted to your soul's purpose, aka your Dharma, and receiving the fulfillment that comes with that, the soul-led work that comes with that is fulfilling, that's fun, where play and prosperity and pleasure is your normal, not pressure, not doing things from this place of should and have to and pressure and force, but starting to live all areas of your life from this frequency of I get to and I want to, and this is what I desire for myself. And this is who I desire to be. This is why my soul is here. And even if you're not sure what your soul's purpose is, perfect. This is the space to come and play and figure it out and let it speak to you, because on some soul level you already know. It's just that your mind has gotten in the way and caused your human to forget. So you can head to the link in the show notes to get all of the info and come and join. Feel free to send me a DM on Instagram at StormJourney if you want to connect with me directly and ask any questions. I'm always happy to do so. We start on the 6th of June for the opening ceremony and then properly start on the 8th. And doors will be open for, I'm thinking, 1 week after, if you're wanting to join after the 6th of June. And you'll be with me for my birthday month, because I'm a Gemini and the whole month is my birthday. So that'll be a fun celebration. I'm excited. So the price is 1111 for just the mastermind for 10 weeks, and VIP, where you get to have me as well with 2 one-on-one sessions and voice message support coaching as well, which is invaluable for actually integrating and having support and having me in your back pocket by your side, is 1777 with afterpay available. So you'll find all the info for that in the show notes, and I cannot wait to connect with you. If you're feeling the call, if you're feeling the ping, listen to it, my love. Magic happens when you do. So that is it from me. I will connect with you on the next episode.